Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our next speaker on stage. Sajeetharan Sinnathurai, Principal Program Manager at Microsoft and Google Developer Expert in Web.
Good afternoon, everyone. You can be a bit more louder. Show the energy. Good afternoon. That's the spirit. So today I'm going to talk about one of the important topics among web developers, and I have been working on Angular for the last 10 years. I will be diving into new features of Angular, and also will talk about how to code once and deploy in all applications using Angular libraries. Before I dive in, let me introduce myself. Yeah, I work at Microsoft as a Principal Product Manager in Azure Cosmos DB. And I'm the first Google Developer Expert in Sri Lanka. And I also contribute to a lot of open source communities. If you want to get in touch with me, you can reach out using the social media channels. Before I kick off, I want to call out this quote by CEO of Google, Sundar Pichai. It's always about learning, right? You have to learn, unlearn, to make sure that your career improves, and it applies in your personal life as well. So make sure to use this opportunity to learn something and take away some learnings from this DevFest event. And any session without a demo is always not great session. So I would start with the demo, but before that, my 10th year at Google DevFest, before 10 years, I was at the same stage as the audience. And I came to the stage by answering a question. So it's proud to be here in the 10th event of this, of my Google DevFest as a speaker. So I would like to call everyone to stand up and give a round of applause to the organizers, speakers, who have put a lot of efforts to make this event big. And it's the festive season of this year, right? DevFest has been always great in Sri Lanka, and this is the largest developer festival event in Sri Lanka. So I would like to call everyone to stand up and give a round of applause to the organizers. Guys, you can do it. Let me take a selfie as well. Give me a moment. Let me take a selfie. All right, once more. All right, thanks a lot for the applause. And I'm going to upload this video saying that I got this applause for my session. All right, with that, we can get started with the actual technical part of this session. Any application that you build has to deal with AI, right? So in this particular demo, I am going to build an AI application with Angular and Gemini, showcasing how you can leverage the capabilities of Gemini to build intelligent applications. So I would like to call 2 volunteers to come to the stage to explore this particular demo. You will get some swags from me so that you can, feel free to come up just to make sure this demo becomes interactive. Any 2 volunteers? Okay, there's one. You can come to the stage. So this particular application is basically let the user to draw an object. It could be anything. Actually, I saw this, I draw this picture of Kumar Sangakkara. I'm just lying, right? So this particular application demonstrates whatever the picture that you draw, the Gemini will translate the object into, image, and then it will do the RAG to search whatever the content that is available in web to display as a result. So let's start with the demo. I'm running an Angular application in local, which leverages all the features that I will be covering in the talk as well. Covering standalone components, covering libraries. So this particular demo uses all these features. You can see that the application is running locally in 4200 port. And I have this application which is basically a canvas. And then you have to draw the image. So what do you like in general? Any games? You like cricket? So draw something related to cricket. It could be bat, ball, or something. Make sure you draw it correctly. If you get the right answer, you will get a swag. Let's see whether Gemini is able to. You can draw using the mouse. Yeah.
So you need to try draw it.
Yeah, you can just press and draw a ball or something. All right, he has drawn an object. I don't know whether it's a circle or a ball. Let's ask what this image is.
The picture shows a simple, imperfect circle. It looks like it was hand-drawn.
I asked him to draw a ball, but he draws a circle, but it makes perfect, right? It's able to identify the object, and Gemini is able to translate that as a text, and you can hear the output as well in voice. So I would give it away. Probably, if the next person draw the picture in a perfect manner, probably I will give it to him. You can try it once more. You can clear this image, and then this is the effect of not using like the drag button in the laptop. We always tend to use the mouse, right? You can probably use the, okay, that's a bat. That's cool. Okay. Let's see. It looks like a knife though.
If it is possible, turn around.
There's no way to, there's only one chance. Let's see what it says.
The picture appears to be a simple drawing of a popsicle.
Pops. That's wrong. Okay. Finally, you can try something.
Is it playing to cricket or something?
You can draw an image, and you have to tell it to me so that we can find whether it's right or wrong.
Can I just?
What are you going to draw?
I will draw a racket.
Racket.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love badminton.
All right. He's going to draw racket because he loves badminton. I don't know whether it's going to say as mosquito bat. All right. I think this would become the perfect one. Wow. Right?
Can I ask?
Yeah.
That looks like a
That's
drawing of a
perfect.
tennis
So it's
racket
able
or
to
a
detect as
badminton racket.
I would give this t-shirt to him. Yeah, take it. And for you guys, I have some swags. You can take it away. Like it has the keychains and also stickers, so you can use it. Yeah, thanks for participating, and thanks for being a wonderful volunteer. Yeah. All right. So we understood the concept. Let's dive into the concepts that we are using to build this particular application in Angular. So for those who are very new to Angular, what it means is it's a framework by Google to build web application. The vision of Angular team is to create a web framework to build next gen AI application. That's the mission that have been set for this year. So if you are working on any web application, the de facto for building applications is using Angular. It's a platform for integrated development. It's not just a framework. You get local developer experience, you get component developer tooling, you get styling components. So you can use the entire platform to build next set of application. And it's an ecosystem of developers. If you ask any framework, which is quite popular among developers, like React or Vue.js, Angular has been in the consistent stage for the last 10 years. If you see the acceptance adoption, it has been in the consistent stage for the last 10 years, which means there is a wide community of members who have been pushing Angular along, including the GDEs and also the Angular team members. Let's see what Angular as a framework offers. It comes with a lot of features included, right? I don't have to talk about it. Like if you're using, there has been, with every release, you get new features announced in Angular, starting with HTTP client, which is mainly for making web requests to your backend and get the response back. And then you have the routing. If you take any single page applications, routing is very important, right? Based on the route that you set, the page has to navigate. So routing becomes an important concept, and Angular has it. And then you can talk about animations, and if you're building enterprise applications, it supports reactive form and template-driven forms. And then server-side rendering is becoming very popular when you're building like front-end applications. If you take any client, they don't want to stay more than 7 seconds in a front-end page, right? So you tend to do server-side rendering and bring that page back to the client so that you can make your web application faster. Server-side rendering is announced in Angular 19, which is the latest version of Angular in the form of hydration, which I will be talking about. And then if I have to talk about the core features, this is common across all. If you are a typical software developers, you would be doing component-based system, you will be doing data binding, you will be doing testing, compiling, and dependency injection. So these are fundamental concepts if you do any web application development or even software development. But when it comes to Angular, it's a framework. It provides a lot of capabilities to build end-to-end application development, starting from local development experience to debugging and to production. So with that, I have set the context for this session. Angular as an ecosystem, it provides a lot of complements. You can see there are 140 GDs, Google Developer Experts across the world. And it's also nearing 100K stars in few months. You can see the contributions from the community, especially on the library, in order to make this popular. And there are 1,000 plus Google projects, especially if you take Gemini and also Google Cloud. Those two are built on Angular. And if you take, even at Microsoft, Xbox sites are built on Angular. Just to talk about evolving of Angular, right? So I have been confused with this particular, like every 6 months there's a change that's happening on this framework, and I know like most of the developers hate this as well. Even as a developer, I used to hate. But if you look at the features that has been introduced for the last 10 years, it's amazing. Like starting from Angular 2, which when I started as a developer with Angular 2, till now with Angular 19, I was able to see the transition like the way you see in the picture. There has been continuous changes which makes the Angular framework as the best framework for web developers. I will talk about each of these features in the Angular 19, which was announced very recently. So what's new with Angular 19? Before 2 years, I did this talk in the same stage, talking about standalone components. The same standalone components have been made default in the Angular version 19. So you don't have to use standalone true in order to make standalone components. So if you create any component with Angular version 19, it becomes a default standalone component. So this is the same slide that I used yesterday in the code labs, just to make sure you understand. So I think the picture explains it, right? So if you want to start an independent community, you can run it on your own so you don't have to have it under the ng module DevFest. So it's like you have the ability to run it on your own. That's called a standalone component. This is applicable to directives. This is applicable to pipe if you're familiar with Angular. So you don't have to define ng module, and you don't have to import the dependencies in order to make this work. So this is very popular among developers. And then what's new with Angular 19, especially Angular signals? Again, I spoke about Angular signals in the previous DevFest, explaining about how it helps the developers to build reactive web applications. So whenever you make some changes, you make sure that the changes are getting notified in the variable as well. So this is applicable with Angular signals. And recently with Angular v19, they have announced stable version of the signal APIs, and they are working on experimental APIs such as linked signals. So earlier they announced compute signals, which makes sure that whenever you make the changes, it gets reflected. Now you can make the changes to a variable with the linked variable that gets applied. So these are the features added to Angular signals. And then refactoring tools. So one of the concerns from developers over the years have been, how do I migrate from Angular 4 to Angular 16, Angular 8 to Angular 19? This is being addressed with refactoring tool, which was announced in the Angular version 19. You can use the migration tool to migrate automatically from particular version to the latest version by using language service. And also it talks about, so if you are a web developer, you also need to consider about the design, right? I have been a material design user for the last 10 years, and I always get frustrated we don't have a date picker. How many of you get frustrated that Angular didn't have a date picker? I see many hands. So that has been addressed, and it is one of the top feature requests that was in the hold for like last 10 years, and it's been addressed with the version 19. So if you're using Angular material, you get a date picker. And you get a way to define your custom theme as well. All these days, there were only 12 themes available. Now you can create your own custom theme with Angular version 19. And then incremental hydration, this is the one I talked about, performance. So when you want to make your web application performant, you have to talk about server-side rendering. With Angular 19, hydration is announced with server-side rendering. So you can pass the differ syntax, which comes with, like, whenever you want to make the component rendered, you can pass a trigger and then make sure that that particular component is being rendered. In this web application, you can see only these components are rendered based on the request that user provides. So this makes application faster, and also the bundle size gets lesser so that application becomes performant. And if you're wondering about where to read about all these features, Angular team has introduced a new website, and this is quite popular, and this is one of the latest, I would say, popular website that Google has developed. You can always go ahead and look at the samples, starting from, I mean, if you are a beginner, you can start with a simple tutorial, and if you want an expert, you can watch the videos and so on. So this is the one I regularly visit on daily basis. Now let's dive into Angular libraries. This person is quite popular in this particular room. He is the organizer of DevFest. And you can see, right, just to put an analogy to understand libraries, it's about code once and use everywhere. I think this is common use case that you deal with, like typical developer scenarios. As a typical single man, he used to cook only Maggie, I think Kotumi. So that he eats for dinner, lunch, and also breakfast. The same thing in Angular. Libraries provides a way to build library which you can use across multiple projects. For example, if you're building an enterprise project, and if you want to apply the same styling with the logo, then you can build a particular component that can be consumed as a library across various projects, right? The same concept applicable with Angular library. If you have to talk about why Angular library, it facilitates reuse. Reusability is common in any software development, right? The more you use, the more you reuse, the less code becomes, right? So you don't have to copy paste every time. You build once and then you can reuse it everywhere. And then consistency. As a developer, we need to make sure that there is a consistency in the components that you create. This can be achieved with Angular library. And then collaboration. As developers, we also need to communicate with fellow developers to understand how this entire application works. With Angular library, you can make sure that happens. And if I have to give a scenario, I mean, you can take any enterprise application such as banking or accounting software that needs to have two applications, one for the registration and one for the banking, and it needs to have a one button to make sure that like it follows the standard, right? So you can create a library for that button and then make sure that it's being used in those two applications. So that's the fundamental understanding of it. Like if you have to talk about how you build libraries, you can follow these steps. Basically, it's similar to how you create component, how you create pipes or services. You do the ng generate library and the library name, and then you have to define two files. One is the API file, and then the component, what you're going to create, and then you need to package using the pack command, which will build the library, and then you can leverage it as a library in any Angular application. You need to install using npm install, the typical way you do with any library in JavaScript. And then if you want to publish to npm so that it can be used by external developers, you can publish to npm using npm publish. So that's the summary of how you build a Angular library. With that, I have come to the end of my talk. I just want to highlight the impact that DevFest has created in my life so that you can take this as an inspiration to become the next Google developer expert from this country, right? So I started attending DevFest back in 2013. And then, I started building Angular, and you have to choose one technology that you need to master. It could be any web, it could be Flutter, it could be Google Cloud, or any technology. Choose one, and then you understand the fundamentals of it, and make sure you use that on a daily basis. Make sure you read about on that every day, and make sure you share the knowledge with others so that you can build on your own. And I have been GD for the last 7 years, and I am, again, as the previous speaker told, I would like to encourage the next set of GDs from this country. So if you want to get into the GD program, you can talk to me as well. And if you want to get mentored, you can do that as well. With that, I can take a few questions. Any questions? Any questions? Yeah. You can shout. Yeah, the question is there any way to integrate material into Angular, right? So the question is about, is there a way to integrate Angular material animation to Angular application? Can you pass the mic? I thought the question would be simple so that I can. Any other questions from the, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So is there a way to let's say to install material quicker, like the animation package doesn't work sometimes?
Okay. Is there a way to install the animation package, material package quicker?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's similar to how you install Angular CLI latest to any other package. So it comes with dependencies. You need to wait until it gets downloaded. So that's otherwise you can use the min version of it, but that doesn't give you the full access to the entire animation.
Yeah. Every time I install it, I manually adjust the versions.
Yeah, you can give this feedback to the Angular team so that make sure they get the light version out of it. But right now you have to install the whole component, whole package. Any other question? All right, I think we are on time. I hope this session was useful. With that, you can build the next gen applications with Angular, and you can send your queries, or you can talk to me after this session as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sajeetharan, for that incredible session on Angular Adventures. Your expertise and insights into leveraging Angular and its libraries to build scalable and cross-platform solutions have been incredibly insightful for the audience. So we, as the organizers of Google DevFest Sri Lanka, are very thankful to you for your continuous support over the years. So as a token of appreciation, showing our gratitude, we have a token of appreciation. So I'd like to invite you back over to the stage and to present you with this token of appreciation. Now I'd like to invite Ms. Lanka Pereira, GDG organizer here in Sri Lanka and a WTM ambassador here in Sri Lanka.